rejected by rehabilitation centers because they were afraid he'd die there, welcomed by a broomstick when he tried to enter his sweetheart's home. This young man, who was once loved by all, became a reject, a nuisance, a failure. Before he knew it, drugs had consumed him completely. He wanted out, but he was helplessly addicted. He ended up in front of a Bible school with a bag full of drugs, dead high, for confidence, he thought then, in a pair of torn shorts and unkempt red hair. When questioned on his habits, all the wrong boxes were checked. They still took him in. For once in his life, he decided to trust God wholly. He threw the drugs away, fully aware that the withdrawal symptoms will give him unbearable pain. He'd been through that too many times before in the last 12 years. But this time, nothing happened. A miracle had taken place, and he knew then that God was real. 15 years since, and he's counseled and helped numerous addicts of all kinds. His purpose today, to serve Christ. Please welcome Chicco Renthlei from Aizawl, Mizoram, India. And I'm Candy, your host for the show. I request you to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. A very good evening, Mr. Chicco Renthlei, the very famous man from Aizawl, Mizoram. It's lovely to have you at Candid with Candy. Thank you so much for making time.
My pleasure, Candy. My pleasure, really.
Most of your experiences, at least in your early life, aren't the most ceremonial, if you will. But you still choose to, but you still choose to talk about it and share it with the world, so that more people can learn from your life and not repeat the mistakes that you made. So thank you so much. It takes a lot of courage.
Most welcome.
And of course, you have a very interesting name. I don't know what it means, but maybe we should start with that. How did you become Chicco?
My dad, being a missionary, we went to Papua New Guinea. And there, the Western people, they couldn't pronounce my name properly. At first, they named me Chewy. Like I used to chew bubble gum. But then, among friends, we have best of friends, right? This guy, his name is Perennis. He's from France, and he just couldn't stand the name. His best friend being named Chewy. He named me Chicco. It means boy in Latin. If you call me Chicco, you're calling me a boy. So it's a really good name. Perennis was shot in a gang fire in a car chase, and he was shot dead in 2004. And on hearing the news, oh my God, I said, and this name has to, I have to have this name for the rest of my life.
That's a funny and a sweet and a sad story, actually. Your father was a pastor, and I know that, he's passed away now.
Yes.
So just briefly talk about, how it was growing up as a pastor's son.
It has its ups and downs, it has its advantages, especially in church. The advantages, like we get the best seats and all that, and the elders of the church would pamper us with candies. Drawbacks are like, being a pastor's kid, I have to behave better than others. We were supposed to have the holier than thou attitude kind of thing. What was expected of us was a little bit too much to handle at times. For me, I'm not talking for the rest of the pastor's children. The expectations we have to meet are quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's burdensome, right? I don't know. This could also be probably one of the reasons why, you did what you did, because rebelling is very common when expectations rise. There's a lot of pressure, and there's comparison, right? I mean, look at your father and look at you,
And it's not only with our behavior and character, but also in our dress code, those kind of things, they can really, really get to you. Especially if you are anything like me. I'm a very casual type of person.
That being said, you all came back to India, and then something really changed in your life. Your life took a really different kind of a U-turn or a wrong turn. Let's begin with that story. I don't know how hard it is for you to tell, but
It's okay. I'm good. I'm good.
how did substance abuse begin? When did it begin? How old were you?
When we came back from Papua New Guinea, growing up in Aizawl, it's a city, but then again, we are in the remotest part of Northeast India. Living with the Western people and going abroad was a dream for a lot of people.
It
And
still
so
is
when
now.
yes, even now, yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
And we look up to people who can do that. So when we came back, people my age especially, even adults, they somehow look up to us, and there was that adrenaline rush. I was 12 when we got back from Papua New Guinea, and then a few years passed by, and then people began to take us normally. When those attention subsided, I began to feel desperate and longing for the
Limelight.
what do you call limelight. I started experimenting on cigarettes and the small things that lead you eventually to the bigger things. Just like that, I started experimenting drugs. At first, I started with cough syrups. It was around 1993 and 4 that I really started to enjoy this. And then I graduated high school. I couldn't complete my college, but then God is merciful and I completed it later on. But drugs got me. I think around 1998 in New Delhi, where I started experimenting opium and heroin and brown sugar and all that. We went back to Aizawl in 1999. I really got into heroin, and by 2000, 2001, 2002, I was really addicted to it, but I got married anyway.
I'm sure at some point, your parents found out. How did they manage you? You know what I'm saying? This is another question that a lot of people have, because when you have a child or a family member who's an addict, the family becomes very clueless in terms of what do you do? Like, do you beat the person? Do you lock him up? Do you report him to the police? What do you do? Like, they get very helpless. So I just want to understand, what did your parents do, and what do you think is the best way in this situation?
That's a very good question, Candy. Every time a parent finds out his son, his kid is doing something bad, at that point of time, he is somehow an addict already, or he needs serious help. And by the time my folks found out I was into it, I really needed help. And so they did their best. They put me into the addiction centers, and there was one time in an addiction, I don't want to name it, but anyway, it's here in Aizawl. When they kept me there, they were afraid that I might die because of the withdrawal symptom. My heartbeat was, you could hear my heartbeat, literally. My bed was shaking. And there were 4 people there. They were holding onto my bed, and they took me to a hospital. I was about to go back to the rehab, but they wouldn't admit me, saying, they couldn't handle me. I was that deep, There are instances like that, even in church, gospel camping, we call it here gospel camping, where addicts and alcoholics are gathered, tell us the gospel, trying to revive us spiritually. Even from there, in our own church, where my father used to pastor, they would kick me out from those camping. That's how severe my addiction was when they found out. And my mom would always be in tears. And my dad, even though he would get up the pulpit and preach, I knew I was on his mind. It was horrible. There was nothing good about addiction. And my wife, my goodness.
She knew, she knew your condition when she married you?
Yes, half of it, maybe a quarter of it.
So she knew that, you were into something, but probably
Yes.
she didn't understand the severity at that point in time.
No, she didn't. We had a bad generation. My generation was such that, you see a guy doing drug, even as a guy, you look up to that guy. People were into drugs, and so many of my friends, they have died, some overdose, some in the hospital. I don't know why. Even my wife is a victim of admiring a drug addict like me. uh, I don't know. It was just a bad generation, I guess.
What I'm hearing you say is, at the time, so in a place like Mizoram at that time, and obviously this is your own perspective, and people may argue about it, but guys, this is Chicco's perspective, so I don't want controversies. But the point is, it was almost like addiction was a trend, like it was cool, and even drinking alcohol, maybe because the state being a dry state, and so if you were doing drugs, or you were you were consuming alcohol, it also meant that you had money. You know what I'm saying?
I have a musical background. We listen to rock songs, and the lifestyle that they live, somehow copied those people. They were our idols.
In our own small minds, we just felt that I think this is what they're doing, because you see probably one music video where the person is smoking a cigarette, it becomes very cool. So let me copy him, Thanks for sharing that.
I'm glad I could.
And then I'll quickly jump into, your wife, right? Obviously, she didn't know what she was getting into. And probably this is a question for her. And she stuck with you through these years till date, and you have 4 children. How did she stick by you all these years?
You know what her grandma used to do? So she would welcome me with a broomstick. That's how you welcome a drug addict. They knew the consequences of marrying a drug addict. She had a lot of suitors. I mean, she's a beautiful, angelic looking woman. Even she is just saying, were we just young and stupid? That's what she could come up with. My father and my mother, when they pray, they used to say, God, we bring Suanga, that's my Mizo name, Suanga into your hands. We want him to be a servant for the extension of the kingdom. A lot of people would think I'm superstitious and maybe it's a coincidence. But then what else could I blame it to? I think it is God. It is God's way of answering their prayer through my wife. God does his miracles with through human beings, right? God used my wife. And so even if it wasn't for my wife, I don't think we would be talking right now. I think I would have been 6 feet under. God is good.
Another thing I want to know is, what goes on in the mind of an addict?
There's no one else that can enter into a mind of an addict except himself. I was too deep into it. So I'm going to speak on, like we said, on my perspective and my understanding. I spent my children's school fees for my next dose. I smashed my son's piggy bank, and I stole his money when he was 2 years old. Those are the things we do. We are just selfish, greedy, self-centered. We are, a bunch of proud people. We are all cowards because we believe that we cannot do anything without drugs. It's like not being able to face the world normally. It is our air, it is our oxygen, it is our H2O water, it is our everything. When you have those withdrawal symptoms, even if there was a water bottle right in front of you, you wouldn't have the energy to, put up the bottle. But if you somehow knew that a guy is selling drugs, you would just get up to your feet. You would go to the peddler.
The combination of pride and cowardice. I think you explained that really well. So the next phase of your life, right? At some point you decided that, hey, you know what? I have a wife, I have kids, I have responsibility, I need to wake up. And obviously you couldn't do that on your own. So tell us about that part of your life.
I think Every addict, not just me, we want to quit this life. Quit the drug and live a normal life. So I needed, what do you call, a click. And it came from a friend of mine. In 2001, I think, he went to a Bible school. He is a very good friend of mine, a childhood friend. He's now a missionary in Japan. And so this guy, when he became a born-again Christian, he approached me because we were, really good friends, very close. I pushed him literally out of my door and I told him never to return. Yeah. How is this guy an addict and how is this guy changed? A missionary that was an addict. Okay, is God real? If God wasn't real, Joey wouldn't be doing this. And so I got a little bit interested. I realized how serious it was in 2005. And my dad was still okay. He was around and he said, "Swama, will you continue to be doing this? Your life is worth a lot more than this." He has never mentioned Joey, but on that particular day, "Do you still keep in touch with Joey?" And that hit me. He said he went to a Bible school. That's how I went into the Bible school. What really triggered me was Joey's life. God changed him, and I saw that.
We hope through this video, they see a Joey in you, whoever is watching it. You went to Bible school with a bag full of drugs.
Yeah.
But something happened in the Bible school that never happened before with you when it came to withdrawal symptoms. Can you tell us about that, please?
I was really high before I got into into our car, and so we were heading for the school building. The high, it kind of left me, on reaching the school. Did it leave me, or I'm not sure whether it was my fear of actually getting into a Bible school. Pastor Bale, our pastor, the owner of Harvest Bible Training School, he had a good smile on me. I think that's how Jesus smiled. Swanga, he called me. And so you came to a Bible school. Do you think that God can change you? I said, yes. He said, so you are into drugs. You're a drug addict. I said, yes. He said, did you bring any? I told him, yes. Do you believe that God can take away your pain and that He will heal you without the withdrawal symptoms? I said, I do. I do believe God can do that. I really do. I really did, even at that time. He said, then go and throw your drugs. I was just there being very obedient. I went to the drain. I emptied my vials and I threw my syringes away. And the surprising thing was, he didn't come with me to see whether I really, threw away the drug or not. That night, I was afraid of the, withdrawal, and I was ready for it. I had dinner. When your withdrawal symptoms are about to start, you can't eat anything. You would vomit. And then at night, there was no sleep. It tickles at first, and then slowly but surely, the pain, it always comes. But that night, I don't know, it was after dinner, nothing happened. I brushed my teeth. Once you have the heroin withdrawal, you don't, enjoy messing around with water. You just don't take bath also because it hurts you like crazy. We hit the sack. We were in our rooms, and I was ready for the, withdrawal symptom. I said, come on. I'm not going back. I'm going to stay put. I'm going to quit this. This is the last straw. I made up my mind that night. I looked at my watch. There was nothing. I felt nothing. I was ready for it, but then I fell asleep. And in the morning, we were awoken by the bell at 6. We had to read our Bible, our quiet time. And I was just thinking, what is happening? I was surprised.
Right.
Nothing happened. And then at 7, we had breakfast. I ate like crazy that morning. You are not supposed to be eating anything without drugs. After you have been doing it for 12 years, the pastor came in from the door. He was whistling Amazing Grace. He was whistling Amazing Grace. And he said, "Chicco, are you all right?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I'm fine." "See what I told you?" And he pointed me, and that is the power of God. All I did, I threw away the drug that I did not want. And God, oh my goodness, his power was manifested. He's the God of yesterday, today, and till forever he will be the same. If you have any sort of difficulty, your problem and my problem may not be the same, but God is bigger than your problem.
The effort that we have to put in is just this much, and what it produces is crazy, right? It's unbelievable.
It's like what Jesus said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. And the faith that I have was so small, I think it would be smaller than a mustard seed, but it removed my mountain of addiction.
I think the last question then is, you have a series, right? Light of the World. Briefly, let us know, what is the aim?
Literally, it is a vision. I saw it. The Great Commission we find in Matthew chapter 28, verse 16 to until the end. Jesus talks about believers going into different parts of the world and testifying that he is the Lord God, and that without him we cannot be saved. And in Mizoram, there are a lot of pastors. If we if we count all the denominations together, so many ministries and Christian organizations, countless. We have been Christians for more than 100 years, but there are hardly any social media where a Mizo pastor would be preaching in English. And so I was inspired by this. I thought maybe we can reach someone out there. A Mizo can reach someone out there through social media, YouTube, and the likes. The series, as you said, it is Light of the World. Jesus, we find him saying in John chapter 8, verse 12, that he is the light of the world, and that if we follow him, we will never walk in darkness. The series is focusing on Jesus, his commandments as well. And in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, he says, "You are the light of the world." And what is light used for? Light is only used in the dark. Mizoram is a place where, there are a lot of lights, and I don't think I am needed here as much as I'm needed outside. So my vision is to reach people out there.
Welcoming Chicco Renthlei all the way from Aizawl, Mizoram to Candid with Candy's Rapid Fire. Thank you so much. Are you ready?
Shoot.
What is your favorite time of the day?
Nights.
What do you enjoy doing most with your children?
Wrestling, pretending to be Hulk Hogan.
What is your favorite musical instrument?
Drums.
Your favorite Bible verse?
John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life.
Your favorite song?
Amazing Grace.
What's your favorite drink?
Black coffee.
Your favorite Mizo dish?
Zongtra.
Thank you so much for your time today. We learned so much from your life, and we hope that God will be glorified through your story.
Thank you, Candy, really, for having me and doing this. I truly and really I prayed before doing this that God would speak to at least some people.
Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for watching this inspiring story. For more of such awesome stories, please check out the rest of my videos. Till next week, take care and God bless.